Welcome to the Palmetto Draft Network. I'm your host, Lynn Seiler. In this episode, we'll be grading the top 30 wide receivers in the upcoming 2023 NFL Draft. The number one wide receiving prospect in the upcoming draft is Jordan Addison out of USC. Addison is 5'11", 180 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.49 40. Last season he had 61 receptions, 8 touchdowns, 875 receiving yards, and an average of 14.8 yards per catch. His strengths are speed, creating separation, and the ability to get yards after the catch. His weaknesses are his height and size, and he does have inconsistent hands throughout his college career. Addison has been issued a grade of 4.7 and is projected to be an early first-round pick. The number 2 wide receiving prospect is Quentin Johnson out of TCU. Johnson is 6'3", 208 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.49 40. Last season he had 80 receptions, 6 touchdowns, 1,069 receiving yards, and he had an average of 17.8 yards per catch. His strengths are his height and size. He has a terrific catch radius, and he has amazing sideline footwork. His weaknesses are creating separation and route running. Johnson has been issued a grade of 4.6 and is projected to be a mid-first round pick. The number 3 wide receiving prospect is Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Flowers is 5'9", 180 pounds, 22 years old. He ran a 4.42 40 time. He had 78 receptions, 12 touchdowns, 1,077 receiving yards, and he had a 13.8 yards per catch. His strengths are his acceleration, his route running, and he is a tremendous deep threat. His weaknesses are his size and height, and he has a small catch radius. Flowers has been issued a grade of 4.5 and is projected to be a late first round pick. The number 4 wide receiving prospect in the upcoming draft is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson is 6 foot, 196 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.48 40. In 2021, he had 95 receptions, 9 touchdowns, 1,600 receiving yards, with an average of 16.9 yards per catch. He was hurt for most of 2022. His strengths are route running, yards after the catch, and blocking. His weaknesses are his size, speed, and he does have an injury history. Jackson has been issued a grade of 4.4 and is projected to be a late first round pick. The number 5 wide receiver prospect is Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. Hyatt is 6 foot, 180 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.4 40. Last season he had 67 receptions, 15 touchdowns, almost 1,300 receiving yards, and he had an average of 18.9 yards per catch. His strengths are his speed and his ability to create separation. His weaknesses are he's mainly a deep threat, at least in college, and he is coming from a college system that might not translate well to the NFL. Hyatt has been issued a grade of 4.4 and is projected to be a late first round pick. The number 6 wide receiver prospect is Josh Downs out of North Carolina. Downs is 5'9", 171 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.48 40. Last season he had 94 receptions, 11 touchdowns, 1,029 receiving yards, and an average of 12.3 yards per catch. His strengths are his speed, his ability to create separation, and a huge catch radius. His weaknesses are his height and size, and he's strictly been a slot receiver in college. Downs has been issued a grade of 4.3 and is projected to be an early second round pick with a pretty good chance of maybe sneaking into the first round. The number 7 wide receiver prospect in the 2023 NFL Draft is Malik Knowles out of Kansas State. Malik is 6'2", 196 pounds, and 22 years old. He ran a 4.48 40. Last season he had 47 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 715 receiving yards, with an average of 15.2 yards per catch. His strengths are his toughness, blocking, and his catch radius. He played through some injuries. His weaknesses are his speed and route running. Malik has been issued a grade of 4.2 and is projected to be an early second-round pick. The number 8 wide receiving prospect is Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. Tillman is 6'3", 213 pounds, and 23 years old. He ran a 4.54 40. Last season in limited action he had 37 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 417 yards, with an average of 11.3 yards per catch. His strengths are his size. He's able to come up with contested balls, and he's tough to bring down after the catch. His weaknesses are he's not very explosive off the snap, and he has trouble creating separation. Tillman has been issued a grade of 4.1 and is projected to be a mid-second round pick. The number 9 wide receiving prospect is Dontavian Wicks out of Virginia. Wicks is 6'1", 206 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.62 40. Last season in limited action he had 30 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 430 receiving yards, with an average of 14.3 yards per catch. His strengths are his height and size, and he's a terrific route runner. His weaknesses are his speed, and he has had inconsistent hands in college. Wicks has been issued a grade of 4.0 and is considered a late second round pick. The number 10 wide receiver prospect is A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest. Perry is 6'3", 198 pounds, and 23 years old. He ran a 4.47 40. Last season he had 81 receptions, 11 touchdowns, 1,100 receiving yards, with an average of 13.5 yards per catch. His strengths are his size and height, his catch radius, and the ability to create separation. His weaknesses are he doesn't create a lot of yards after the catch, and he did come from a college system that might not translate well. Perry has been issued a grade of 3.9 and is projected to be an early third round pick. The number 11 wide receiver prospect is Charlie Jones out of Purdue. Jones is 5'11", 175 pounds, and 24 years old. He ran a 4.43 40. Last season he had 110 receptions, 12 touchdowns, almost 1,400 receiving yards, and he had an average of 12.4 yards per catch. His strengths are he has great hands, he gets a lot of yards after the catch, and he's a very precise route runner. His weaknesses are his height and size, and he only had one good season in college. Jones has been issued a grade of 3.8 and is projected to be a mid-third round pick. The number 12 wide receiver prospect is Jaden Reed out of Michigan State. Reed is 5'10", 187 pounds, 23 years old. He ran a 4.45 40. Last season he had 55 receptions, 5 touchdowns, 636 yards, and averaged 11.6 yards per catch. His strengths are his acceleration, his precise route running, and he is a tremendous deep threat. His weaknesses are his size and height, and the ability to come down with contested catches. Reed has been issued a grade of 3.7 and is considered a mid-third round pick. The number 13 wide receiver prospect is Keyshawn Booty out of LSU. Booty is 5'11", 195 pounds, 20 years old. He ran a 4.5 40. Last season, he had 48 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 538 receiving yards, and 11.2 yards per catch. His strengths are he came from a pro-style system at LSU. He's got tremendous speed and his toughness. He's also multi-dimensional. His weaknesses are inconsistent hands and a small catch radius. He has been issued a grade of 3.6 and is projected to be a mid-third round pick. The number 14 wide receiver prospect is Rasheed Rice out of SMU. Rice is 6 foot, 204 pounds, 23 years old. He ran a 4.51 40. Last season he had 96 receptions, 10 touchdowns, nearly 1,400 receiving yards, and he averaged 14.1 yards per catch. His strengths are he has great hands, he has a huge catch radius, and he's terrific at yards after the catch. His weaknesses are his size and the ability to come down with contested balls. Rice has been issued a grade of 3.5 and is projected to be a late third round pick. The number 15 wide receiver prospect is Jonathan Mingo out of Ole Miss. Mingo is 6'2", 220 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.46 40. Last season he had 51 receptions, 5 touchdowns, 861 receiving yards, and he averaged 16.9 yards per catch. His strengths are his size, his route running, and the ability to get yards after the catch. His weaknesses are his speed and not able to create enough separation. Mingo has been issued a grade of 3.4 and is projected to be a late third round pick. The number 16 wide receiving prospect is Andre Yosevas out of Princeton. Yosevas is 6'3", 205 pounds, 23 years old. He ran a 4.43 40. Last season he had 66 receptions, 7 touchdowns, 943 receiving yards, and he averaged 14.3 yards per catch. His strengths are he's a track star speedster, he has great hands, and he has a huge catch radius. His weaknesses are surprisingly creating separation, and there are concerns about the competition that he faced. He has been issued a grade of 3.3 and is projected to be a fourth round pick. The number 17 wide receiver prospect is Marvin Mims out of Oklahoma. Mims is 5'10", 183 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.38 40. Last season he had 54 receptions, 6 touchdowns, nearly 1,100 receiving yards, and he averaged an impressive 20.1 yards per catch. Mims' strengths are his acceleration and his speed. He makes a lot of acrobatic catches, and he gets a lot of yards after the catch. His weaknesses are his height and his size, and he has a relatively small catch radius. Mims has been issued a grade of 3.2, and he's projected to be a mid-fourth round pick. The number 18 wide receiver prospect is Dante Demas Jr. out of Maryland. Demas is 6'3", 212 pounds, and 22 years old. He ran a 4.57 40. Last season, he had 22 receptions, 1 touchdown, 233 receiving yards, and he averaged 10.6 yards per catch. His strengths are his height and size, and he has great hands. His weaknesses are his speed and route running. Demas has been issued a grade of 3.1 and is projected to be a late fourth round pick. The number 19 wide receiver prospect is Xavier Hutchinson out of Iowa State. Hutchinson is 6'1", 203 pounds, 22 years old. He ran a 4.53 40. Last season he had 107 receptions, 6 touchdowns, nearly 1,200 receiving yards, and he averaged 10.9 yards per catch. His strengths are his size, the ability to create separation, and his precise route running. His weaknesses are speed, and he doesn't play physically compared to his size. Hutchinson has been issued a grade of 3.0 and is projected to be an early 5th round pick. The number 20 wide receiver prospect is Jacob Copeland out of Maryland. Copeland is 5'11", 201 pounds, and 23 years old. He ran a 4.42 40. Last season he had 26 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 376 receiving yards, and he averaged 14.5 yards per catch. His strengths are his speed, he has great hands, and he gets a lot of yards after the catch. His weaknesses are the ability to create separation, and he has trouble with contested catches. Copeland has been issued a grade of 2.9 and is projected to be an early 5th round pick. The number 21 wide receiver prospect is Ronnie Bell out of Michigan. Bell is 5'11", 191 pounds, and 23 years old. He ran a 4.54 40. Last season he had 62 receptions, 4 touchdowns, nearly 900 receiving yards, and he averaged 14.3 yards per catch. Bell's strengths are he has long arms and he gets a lot of yards after the catch. His weaknesses are he drops passes and he's had trouble creating separation. Bell has been issued a grade of 2.8 and is projected to be a mid-5th round pick. The number 22 wide receiver prospect is Malik Heath out of Ole Miss. Heath is 6'2", 213 pounds, and 22 years old. He ran a 4.64 40. Last season he had 52 receptions, 4 touchdowns, 834 receiving yards, and he averaged 16 yards per catch. Heath's strengths are his size, his precise route running, and the ability to come down with contested catches. His weakness is his speed and the ability to create separation. Heath has been issued a grade of 2.7 and is projected to be a late 5th round pick. The number 23 wide receiver prospect is Jake Bobo out of UCLA. Bobo is 6'4", 206 pounds, 24 years old. He ran a 4.55 40, although he has been recently clocked more in the 4.6s. Last season he had 54 receptions, 7 touchdowns, 789 receiving yards, with an average of 14.6 yards per catch. Bobo's strengths are his tremendous size and height and his huge catch radius. His weaknesses are his speed and inconsistent hands. Bobo has been issued a grade of 2.6 and is projected to be an early 6th round pick. The number 24 wide receiver prospect is Elijah Higgins out of Stanford. Higgins is 6'3", 230 pounds, and 22 years old. He ran a 4.54 40. Last season he had 58 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 700 receiving yards, and he averaged 11.9 yards per catch. His strengths are his size, his blocking ability, and yards after the catch. His weaknesses are inconsistent hands and a smaller catch radius. Higgins has been issued a grade of 2.5 and is projected to be an early 6th round pick. The number 25 wide receiver prospect is Puka Nakua out of BYU. Nakua is 6'1", 201 pounds, 21 years old. He ran a 4.57 40. Last season he had 48 receptions, 5 touchdowns, 625 receiving yards, and he averaged 13 yards per catch. His strengths are he's a multi-purpose threat, being able to play multiple positions, and the ability to get yards after the catch. His weaknesses are his speed and route running. Nakua has been issued a grade of 2.4 and is projected to be a mid-6th round pick. The number 26 wide receiver prospect is Trey Tucker out of Cincinnati. Tucker is 5'8", 182 pounds, 22 years old. He ran a 4.4 40. Last season he had 52 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 672 receiving yards, and he averaged 12.9 yards per catch. His strengths are his speed and acceleration, his route running, and the ability to get yards after the catch. His weaknesses are his height and size, and his lack of blocking during running plays. Tucker has been issued a grade of 2.3 and is projected to be a late 6th round pick. The number 27 wide receiver prospect is Josh Vann out of South Carolina. Vann is 5'11", 175 pounds, and 23 years old. He ran a 4.46 40. Last season in limited action he had 18 receptions, 3 touchdowns, nearly 300 receiving yards, and he averaged 16.4 yards per catch. His strengths are his speed, and he has great hands. His weaknesses are his size and route running. Vann has been issued a grade of 2.2 and is projected to be an early 7th round pick. The number 28 wide receiver prospect is Grant Dubose out of Charlotte. Grant is 6'2", 201 pounds, and 21 years old. He ran a 4.57 40. Last season he had 63 receptions, 9 touchdowns, nearly 800 receiving yards, and he averaged 12.6 yards per catch. His strengths are his precise route running and the ability to get yards after the catch. His weaknesses are speed and being able to create separation. Dubose has been issued a grade of 2.1 and is projected to be an early 7th round pick. The number 29 wide receiver prospect is Darius Davis out of TCU. Davis is 5'8", 165 pounds, and 22 years old. He ran a 4.36 40. Last season he had 42 receptions, 5 touchdowns, 531 receiving yards, and he averaged 12.6 yards per catch. Davis's strengths are, yes, track star speed, and he was also a return specialist in college. His weaknesses are his height and his size, his route running, and his catch radius. Davis has been issued a grade of 2.0 and is projected to be a mid 7th round pick, although he could go a little bit higher considering what a return specialist he really was in college. The number 30 wide receiver prospect is Joseph Ngata out of Clemson. Joseph is 6'3", 217 pounds, 22 years old. He ran a 4.54 40. Last season, he had 41 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 526 receiving yards, and he averaged 12.8 yards per catch. Joseph's strengths are his size and height. He's very good at contested catches, and he gets a lot of yards after the catch. His weaknesses are the inability to create separation, and he's got a pretty extensive injury history. Joseph has been issued a grade of 2.0 and is projected to be a late 7th round pick. Thank you for visiting the Palmetto Draft Network. Check out our channel for more NFL draft related content. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video.